friends, to another episode of Nintendo Nightcap, bringing you all the latest Nintendo news. And today we've got quite the big story because Nintendo caused quite the big stir earlier today when it dropped a 15-second long trailer teaser that can only be described as, I don't know, unsettling and very un-Nintendo-like. But what is the game about? All we got to go on is a man in a dark room wearing a paper bag for a face and a smiling expression. Very little else to go on. Who's making the game? Is it Nintendo? Are they just publishing? We are going to talk about all the rumors circulating online at the moment. We got a little bit more information in the Japanese version of the trailer, which shows some kanji writing, which is translated to say Emio, meaning the smiling man. But who is making this game? Well, the internet is rife with speculation, and they are pointing it towards Bloober Team, who are the guys behind Laser Fear, which I love, and also The Medium and Blair Witch and the Silent Hill 2 remake. So these are the guys who have a big pedigree in horror games, specifically psychological horror games. But is it these guys who are making this game, and why do people think it? Well, it's all to do with an interview that the CEO gave just 2 days ago when he was discussing the business of the development team and games going forward. Now, in that interview, Bloober Team CEO Peter Babiano was talking about a game codenamed Project M, and this is what he had to say about it in that interview. Project M, although its budget is significantly smaller than the games we are working on at Bloober Team, is extremely important due to our long-term plans. In addition, we are working on it in cooperation with the world's best game creators for Nintendo platforms. We're going to get into that in a minute. So we cannot afford to create just a decent game. So there you go. That's what he had to say about Project M. But is that Project M the game that we are seeing in the trailer that Nintendo dropped? I am very doubtful myself. On the face of it, yes, I can see why you would look at these guys and the CEO talking about a future horror game that they're going to be releasing on Nintendo console, and then Nintendo drops a teaser trailer for a psychological looking horror game. But in that same interview, he mentioned that the first announcement of that game, Project M, would be later on in the year. So the fact that it dropped only 2 days later, I feel like you wouldn't be that vague about the title if you knew you were about to show the game in a teaser only 2 days after this interview. So that doesn't quite add up to me. Now, the other thing to say quickly about that interview, a lot of people are picking up on the fact that he mentions the game will be on Nintendo consoles. Not the Switch, but Nintendo consoles. So a lot of people are taking this to mean the Switch 2 and making a big deal about it. But I'm like, well, you know, to be honest, I feel like most games that going forward now that are being revealed probably are going to be coming out on the Switch and Switch 2. I don't think that's a massive surprise. I don't know why people are making a big deal about it. Like, oh my God, it's a Switch 2 game. Yeah, most games that are going to be unveiled from now on going forward probably will be Switch 2 games. But nonetheless, I digress. Now, who do I actually think is making this game? Is it Nintendo? I don't think it's Nintendo developing this game. They don't really develop horror games. They do publish horror games. Of course, they did publish back in the day Eternal Darkness on the GameCube, a very scary, critically acclaimed classic of a horror game. And of course, they have published many other games, namely the Fatal Frame series. So Nintendo does have a pattern of publishing horror games, not necessarily developing them. But something I do want to point out here is that in the teaser trailer, we not only see the Nintendo Switch logo at the beginning of the trailer, but also at the end. And this is very significant, and I'll tell you for why. Typically, we only see Nintendo include the logo at the end of a trailer when they are indeed the publishers of said game. So I'm going to show you an example here. We're going to look at the trailer for Doom on the Switch, right? You're going to see that it starts off with the Nintendo Switch logo, and then we see some footage, but then the way the trailer ends is just fades to black, ends with, you know, the logo of the developer, and that is it. But if we cut to the trailer for Bayonetta 3, a game that Nintendo published, we are going to see the Nintendo logo at the beginning of the trailer, and then if we scroll all the way to the end, we will see that Nintendo puts its logo at the end of that trailer too. And it's the same for the trailer of this game that we are calling Emio. We can see the Nintendo logo at the beginning of the trailer, and then there it is right at the end. We see the Nintendo logo again. So this leads me to think that it is a Nintendo published game. Now, as to who's making the game, I have no idea, but the fact that most of the information that we got was coming from the Japanese trailer, that is where we got the possible title and the text in the game, that makes me think that maybe it's more a Japanese-based horror game, maybe by Koei Tecmo, who are the guys behind the Fatal Frame series. That wouldn't be a massive surprise because in the past, the creator of the Fatal Frame series, Makoto Shibata, has expressed his desire to create more games in the series, possibly with another setting and characters, who knows, but it's not out of this realm that instead it could be a Japanese-based horror game instead, and not this Project M from Blooper Team indeed. So, you know, that's all we've got to go on at the moment. There's not a lot of information. In the end, you know, we did only get a 15-second long trailer. But my friends, that is the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't really know what to make of that trailer. As I said, it's very unsettling and very un-Nintendo-like, so I don't think it is going to be developed by them, but I'm sure it is, again, it's being published by them. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And until then, my good friends, I will be back tomorrow with more Nintendo news. So until then, have an awesome one. Bye.